Okay, so this video is going to be mostly for people aspiring to become Medspa owners, people who have just started their Medspa business. I will have some timestamps on our YouTube channel. So if you are an existing Medspa owner and just want to kind of skip forward to a couple of different sections, the sections that you think you need help with, you can skip forward there. So the first part of this whole thing basically revolves around a business plan. All the steps that are involved here are things that you'll include in that business plan. Now, why this is important, very important, is that you can wing this for a little bit and just kind of pick up pieces here and there, and eventually you can be successful and make money. But I can guarantee if you do it that way, you'll leave a ton of money on the table that you don't need to do. And eventually you'll be at a place where you're making money, but you can be making a lot more because the plan will actually focus you and get you going in the right direction. So in the beginning, obviously you're going to form your LLC and you have to go to your state commerce department first and do all that and get your names, which I can't stand trying to pick a name, but you have to go there and pick a name. Make sure that name is not close to anything else that's around. I know someone from experience that went through a very long process of lawyers and everything else because the name was too similar. So just pick a unique name, be safe, and kind of go about that. After you do that, you get your EIN. Don't pay to get your EIN. Just go. It takes 5 minutes to go on the IRS site and get it. Don't pay someone $50. I've seen like $150 to have it done. It takes 5 minutes. Save your money. But anyway, as far as the business plan, why this is important in the beginning and why you need to do this every year. So when I say every year, I mean every year. So this will be planning out your finances, how you want your business to grow, how you want your business to move forward, your goals, everything for the year. So this initial business plan, which covers everything you're going to be doing, is your long-term as well in here. But at the end of every year, even existing Medspa owners, you need to be doing another business plan for the following year to know what has worked, what hasn't worked, what you want to do more of, how you want to price everything. Do you want to do discounts? Do you not want to do that? Where do you want to improve sales, upselling, the whole 9 yards? So you have to do this at the end of every year. And if you don't, you're going to be missing out again the following year and the year after that. So we went over that. So your pricing structure, like I just talked about, something you're going to have in your initial business plan. This is just the basics. You'll have something like, like I said, do I want to price my stuff like the people around me? Or do I want to have my own pricing? Or do I want to be discounted? Or do I want to do this every month and this? Now, in the beginning, you probably have to do a little bit of that. Or you don't. It depends on just how you are presented, how your experience level, and how you want to do everything. What's your eventual staffing plan? Or is it going to be you just in the beginning for the first year? Are you going to want to hire somebody? At what level of your schedule being full do you want to hire somebody? So maybe you might have a plan of 6 months, but in 2 months you're off the wall and you need to hire somebody. So what is your plan for that? You can't just say at that moment, oh shoot, now I don't know what to do. I'm full. What do I do now? Okay, you want to have a plan for that, as well as your financial. If you say, you have to have ways to keep track of all your finances. It's not just how much money you're making, but how did you make that money? What money was spent well on marketing and ads? Which marketing didn't hit? All that money you're spending, this product did not work very well, or, this service doesn't work. You got to keep planning for that, and you got to keep track of your finances. And only if you keep track of them can you actually adjust. So as far as your scaling, it's like I just talked about hiring. So are you going to be brick and mortar? So if you are, how many rooms can I have? Then how many injectors can I have? Can I have an esthetician? All those things you have to have as part of a plan, and not just say, I think I want to do this when you've already committed to a location. Or it's just yourself right now working kind of, renting a room and like, hey, I want to get to a point next year where I'm hiring people and I have my own place. Okay, so what does that look like? You have to plan for that. So as far as the very, very beginning, you may or may not have enough money for an actual attorney to have a retainer and an accountant. So what is that? So if you don't have the money for that, then you just gotta go get QuickBooks, and you can actually talk to other injectors and see what kind of disclosures they have, or which I'll talk about in a little bit, your software. Sometimes they have disclosures included, which you can just use those. So there are budget-friendly ways to go about doing everything. You don't have to hire a $10,000 attorney right off the bat. From my experience, I haven't done jack anyway, but that's another story. Then, as far as you got your insurance. So obviously, you've got to get your insurance coverage for your business, for your equipment. I've seen some coverage out there that covers everybody. Some people have coverage that doesn't cover their staff or what they do. So really shop around. This is something that shopping around is something that I've seen. Nobody wants to do it, as far as whether it's your software or your attorney or your accountant or whatever it might be. I just want to get this done. And they just kind of choose whatever's there. Okay, don't do that. Know this is going to take a minute to get all this stuff in place. I know you want to make money now, but know this is going to take a minute to get all this stuff in place the right way. You don't make any mistakes and you don't waste any money. So next thing will be your domain. So after you've picked your name, now you want to get your website. And are you going to develop the website, or are you going to pay somebody? If you're going to pay somebody, make sure you're not paying out an arm and a leg, but you also have to have your booking software. Make sure you can put your booking software on there and a link and all that stuff. You have to have Google Analytics. If you can't do Google Analytics, then you got to hire someone that can. These are all things you have to include. Do you know how to do SEO? Do you know how to do all that stuff? If you don't, you're probably going to hire somebody. Budget for that. It's not difficult to learn, but it's not, there are people out there that do this specifically because they do well with it. And what I can say is you'll get marketed like crazy for people to do your SEO website and things like that. I knew somebody that did something like that in the beginning. The people were useless. They charged almost $1,500 to $2,000 a month, and they didn't get, the ads were not good. The SEO was fair at best, and you had to do a lot of work anyway. So just, if you want to, go make sure you hire a professional that does specific things. Marketing and ads. Do you want to do your own marketing and ads, or are you going to hire someone to do that as well? Now, in the beginning, if it's just going to be you can do it all. It's a pain. It's time consuming. You just want to be sitting there injecting and doing lasers and taking care of your patients. I get it. So what you can do is, on an off day in the beginning, this is just a tip, on like a Sunday, record all your stuff for the week. Go into your office, wherever it might be, or just go, if you're renting a room, like I said, go in there, record some stuff, get some people to come in and do that. Or just spend like an hour at the end of your day asking for a record, if you can record something. Or if you can do it, have somebody come in and do it while you're working. So I get it. You just want to take care of all this stuff, but this is stuff that you've got to do, and you've got to budget for ads to make sure people know you're out there. So the next part is something you've probably heard me talk about a lot, and that's your software. Again, in the beginning, you might not have the budget for $500 a month, $600 or $700 a month. You might not have that budget for your software. So you might need to go with something that's lower end. That's fine. However, you have to know that there's some things you'll have to track manually. So like some of your financials, you have to track manually. Your patient retention, your client retention, you're going to have to track manually. This stuff just won't do it. It won't do it. So you've got to do it manually. You've got to create a database. You've got to create all these things and do it manually. And you've got to make sure, if you can do this from the beginning, I highly recommend you do it from the beginning. And I highly recommend you choose the right software so you're at a place when you want to scale, you can get there. Because if you do it, if you want to switch later on, it's much more difficult to switch later on than it is now in the beginning. So if you can choose the higher end software that does everything you need it to do, I highly recommend doing that. If you don't, I highly recommend that if you get to a place 6 months from now where you're like, hey, we're doing pretty well, I can afford to switch, okay? Because it will do so much more and be able to take all this stuff and all that manual work off your plate. And it does house everything. So all this manual work that you're doing, even some of these big med spas that have this lower end software, they're doing a bunch of manual work. because they're not paying for the stuff that does it. So if your goal is to not have to do all that work, go for the better software. So that's all the business stuff. And so you have the marketing, you have your financials, you have your sales. We actually cover that. So how are you going to sell? Are you going to learn? Are you going to go take some sales courses? Are you going to teach your staff how to scale or how to sell when you try and scale? How are you going to handle that? All of those things are actually what run your business. And we kind of flip-flop in the med spa industry, and we kind of start looking at the injecting side or the medical side first, and then kind of think about the business side as an afterthought. And that's where people get tripped up. And that's why I see a lot of these med spas were closing, because they think, oh, I can just buy this machine and people are going to come and I'm just going to make money and I can go home and that's the end of it. And that's just not how this works. So now we can get to all the other stuff. But you have stuff to think about what you're going to offer. So what talks are you going to offer? Now, in this situation, what I have seen, most people offer the same stuff. However, there's an occasional where I've seen people, I don't know, I don't even remember the name of it, but they'll offer like a different brand. And that's fine. However, it's probably they're offering because it's a lower cost point, which means their margins are higher. However, if I was to go and get injection someplace else at ABC Med Spa, and then I expected the results to last, let's say 3 to 4 months, and then I went to XYZ Med Spa, regardless of how well they did, but it only lasted 2 months, well, now I'm like, well, this one's no good. And so you want consistent results. I mean, you want to pick the best out there, but you're also going to want to use what everyone else is pretty much using, unless there's some great product that blows everybody else out of the water and you can get it and to go ahead and get it. But if it's a lower tier product that kind of does what everything else does, just go for go for what everyone else is using. Stays consistent. Same thing goes for machines. So if you can afford the higher end machine right off the bat, then go for that. If you can't afford a Morpheus or something like that right off the bat, don't bother. If you can get a skin pen instead, get the skin pen and just market that and do what you can do with that. When you make enough money where you can afford like a Morpheus type of thing, then that's when you get that. But if you can get the bigger thing, then get it. But because most people know that. Most people understand and see the branding. They want those results. They want that treatment. They want the services. They want all that stuff. So if you can get it, get it. when you can get it, go ahead and get it. So then there are facials. Are you going to offer facials? Are you going to hire an esthetician? Now, you don't want to be doing facials if you want to be doing tox. Tox is much better during that appointment time than the facial would be. So then you have to choose, well, am I going to choose a machine? Again, we're talking about, let's say, I want to choose the hydrofacial, but I can't afford that right now. So I'm going to have to get something different or just not offer that service yet. Now you can be one of the people that kind of, and this is just my 2 cents, you can go one of the people that doesn't get a hydrofacial, but kind of like changes a letter and says they have a hydrofacial, and don't be that person. Don't be the person that does that. If you can't afford it, just don't get it yet. Get it when you can afford it. If you can't afford it, then just advertise what you have. Just advertise what you have. Because in my opinion, that's a disservice to your clients. You're branding it as something that they think it's the same thing when it's not. I don't like that anywhere. Hydrofacial is kind of like just one of the ones I know of that you can change a letter and have that happen. So in my opinion, again, like I've said this entire time, if you can't afford it right up front, wait till you can and then get the machine that everybody wants to use. So once you've created this whole plan, now this is just the initial plan. So this is the first plan. This is for your year 1 and maybe year 2. And realistically, this is just your long-term plan for what everything's going to look like over the next 2 years. After year 1, you're going to change it. You're going to see how much money you've made, what you can afford. Can you afford to get the machine? Now can you afford an attorney? Now can you afford to get an actual brick and mortar place? Can you do all these things? So it has to change. It can't just be, oh, well, I've made more money, so now I'm just going to go do this thing. You have to have a plan every single time. So all these things put together, and like I said from the beginning, if you noticed, 5 of the 7 items on here about the topics were back-end type business, financials, setting up all your software that handles all your clients, client retention, sales, marketing, all that stuff. That's your business. And that's what this business plan is for. So, like I said, this is what you need. If you want just a quick, detailed kind of checklist, if you're new and you want that, or you want a checklist for the end of every year, you can just go. I'll put a link in the descriptions. It's a quick checklist PDF. It's free. Just download it, and you can kind of go from there, take it, and start your business, or kind of check and see what you're missing, what you aren't missing. And like I said, at the end of every year, go through this checklist. You can actually eliminate some of this stuff. Obviously, if you've already done your business, you know your business name and stuff like that. But you still need to do the other parts. What's my future financial goals? How much do I want to scale? Do I want to hire? All these things. That's every year. Right? So do that. Download that today. So just DM us, or you can email us at info@aestheticlaunch.net, or go to aestheticlaunch.net/assessment and take our assessment. We can get back to you and we can go over this whole plan together.